Last month, Dustin Johnson propelled himself to the top of the world rankings with a 5-stroke victory at the Genesis Open. He then made it back-to-back wins with another fine performance at the WGC Mexico Championship to cement his position at the top of the men's game. Johnson's rise to #1 has been fraught with issues on and off the course, making his ascent even more remarkable.
I interviewed him a couple of years ago, the summer of 15. Never really wrote it because of the way Chambers ended. It just didn't fit anymore. But you know, I mentioned that he'd gone through quite a bit. I mean, you talk about the 6 months away from the game. You know, we forget sometimes that this guy was involved in a shooting death on the peripheral. I mean, he was the one who, according to the police, had to go into the shop and get bullets for a bully friend of theirs, who a month later used the gun, et cetera, et cetera. So he had some issues with the law way back then. Now you've got you know, this latest thing, and it keeps piling up. And I mentioned that to him, and he says, I have gone through a lot. He goes, but I've always bounced back from it. And you know, that might be what Dustin's all about, bounce back. To this day, I don't know if there's another player out here who could take the number of body blows he took, whether it was Pebble Beach, whether it was Royal St. George's, or Whistling Straits, or Chambers Bay, and just keep plugging along. And I think that might be his greatest strength.
Dustin doesn't overthink things. He's just built differently, and I think that's helped him when you consider the scars that could have occurred in some of the collapses on major championship stages. But he always told us that he wasn't scarred by those, and you know, you wonder if you can believe him, but it looks like it was true. He wasn't scarred.
I don't think Dustin Johnson does anything different now that he's become world #1. I think it's cool. I think he looks at it like, oh, cool, I'm world #1. I don't have to do anything different than I've been doing now that I've gotten here. And I think because he has that attitude, and because it's not going to change anything that he does in his game and his routine, then I think he's got some serious staying power.
I would have a hard time distinguishing between the raw ability of Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy among the current crop. But it's up there, and I think his physical size, along with you know, the raw talent, makes him just a little bit more intimidating than most. I mean, this is a guy who could dunk a basketball from his, you know, flat-footed, having just come out of the water jet skiing. You know, he could play baseball as a kid. He loves basketball. He can do a number of things. You know, Nicklaus was like that back in the late 50s. Played basketball, still plays tennis, etc. That's what he brings to golf. Not just a guy who swings a club, but an athlete who chose golf.
In his last 7 starts, DJ has finished inside the top 6 on 6 occasions. So, with the Masters less than a month away, will the 32-year-old sustain his current run of form and add a green jacket to the US Open trophy he won last year?
The thing that has been most impressive with Dustin Johnson is since he started working with Butch Harmon, his game from 120 yards in and his short game and putting have really gotten good, blown up. As we like to say, he just blew up. And that's a testament to the work that he's put into it, which sometimes you don't necessarily see. The thing about Augusta, though, is Augusta and the short game, it exposes any kind of weakness whatsoever. And if there's any chance of you get a little frustrated and it carries over to a hole, you're done. Dustin hasn't had a great record at Augusta. It just hasn't been spectacular. That being said, can he put himself in a position to be successful? Yes. Do I expect him to contend to win this year? No.
I think he's got to be one of the players to beat every time he tees it up, wherever he tees it up now, because his game travels. So, yeah, I think players going there will look at him as a guy to beat, you know, along with, you know, some other, Jordan Spieth, obviously, Jason Day.
I don't think he ever had a chance at Augusta until last year, and that was kind of fringe. I mean, he made a few mistakes on the back nine that kept him from really getting into the heat of it. So why he hasn't done better is somewhat of a mystery. Now that he has the last 2 years, yeah, I mean, he would figure to be up there, but Augusta is, to me, is such a mystery on so many levels that we'll just have to settle with the fact that he's got what it takes, and let's see how it goes.